What if the Bible took place in North America? And what if Josephus was actually writing about Utah and the surrounding states? Okay, you guys, I found another gem from Josephus. Check this out. But first of all, if you're new here, I have been busy mapping the Bible in North America and showing beyond a shadow of a doubt that yes, the Bible did take place here. We have hundreds of locations pinpointed down to precise details at this point. Go watch my other videos if you don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, but check this out. This is Mona Reservoir in Utah. And I was just reading Josephus and this just jumped out at me, and I realized Mona Reservoir was there during Josephus's time as well. Okay, not like the reservoir itself. It wasn't a reservoir then, but it was a lake and it was in the same location. So in the Jewish War, Book 3, Chapter 10, Section 7, Josephus says that Jordan's visible stream arises from this cavern, divides the marshes and fens, keep that in mind, that's important, of the lake Simiconitis. I can't say that word, but that sounds like a disease. We'll go with Simiconitis. When it hath run another 120 furlongs, it passes by the city Julius and then goes through the middle of the lake Gennesareth, which is the Sea of Galilee. It has two different names in the Bible. And then if we jump over to Book 4, Chapter 1, Section 1, it says that this lake, Simicoides, I don't know what that word is, but it says it's 30 furlongs across and 60 long, okay? And its marshes, again, marshes reach as far as the place Daphne, which in other respects is a delicious place and has fountains, which usually means like springs of water, right? To what is called Little Jordan, under the temple of the golden calf, where it's sent into the Great Jordan. And we're not going to dig into that last part of the paragraph in this video, but that's extremely interesting to me, so I am storing that away for another video. Okay, so let's jump onto the maps, and I'm going to show you where all of these places are. Okay, so first let me show you where this all is on the map. So here's the Sea of Galilee. This is Utah Lake. The thick blue line is the Jordan River. Josephus describes this as well. Like I mentioned, I have another video about this. If you'd like to go check it out, check out my playlists, and you should be able to find it there. But we have the Jordan River, and it runs north, right? So here is Mona Reservoir, and the Jordan River runs from up here through the reservoir, like Josephus said, and down here and through the Sea of Galilee, just as described. Okay, so let's measure this. So we've got from the end of the Sea of Galilee, and we're going to kind of roughly trace along these paths. Let me change this to miles. The path of the creek that's currently there. Just roughly as the crow flies. Puts us, let me zoom in. Oop, I already overshot. Puts us right at, if you look down here, 13.85 miles, right? So right at that distance given by Josephus, depending on how you measure and probably how full the lake was and all that. So 120 furlongs is right around 15 miles. However, there's a little bit of discrepancy. Some translations read furlongs, some read stadia. They're slightly different measurements of unit. So 120 stadia is a little bit different than the furlongs, best I can tell. I'm not an expert on this, but this is saying roughly 6.5 to 13.8 miles. So kind of depending on how you're fudging this, you know, there's a little bit of discrepancy. Best I can tell, it's anywhere from like 12 to 14 miles in length. Okay, so you'll remember Josephus said that that lake was 30 by 60 furlongs. So again, if it's stadia or furlongs, it's going to vary just a little bit. But you can kind of see this green area in general here, right? That's kind of that valley basin area. Mona Reservoir itself is definitely not 30 by 60. 30 by 60 is going to be roughly 6 miles by 3 miles, maybe closer to like 7 to 3.5, somewhere in that region. So let's just kind of measure this visible green area and see what we get. So if we pull a line straight through here, that's right at that 6 to 7 mile mark. And then if we pull a line across, depending, how far, I don't know how far the marshy area would have gone out. Right there is about 2.5 miles. If we come all the way over to the foot of the mountain, assuming that the water came up to there, and pull across to the edge of Mona Reservoir currently, that's right around the 3 to 3.5 marker, right? So very, very similar to what he's describing. Very, very close. The distance is very precise. The size is very precise. The description of the Jordan running through it is still what happens today, even. And then the Jordan coming down and running through the Sea of Galilee. In the horseshoe-shaped valley that Jerusalem sat in is right here. I've gone over that in other videos. So as you can see, it really does fit. So let me show you what USGS says about this area that supports the idea that there was actually a marshy lake here. Okay, so USGS has a big report on this whole area where that orange triangle is. And I pulled up the part about the area around Mona Reservoir specifically so we can see what it says. Okay, so this is the report here. And it's talking about the deposits that are younger than the Bonneville Lake cycle. So the Bonneville Lake used to be in the valley where Mona Reservoir is, and it receded and left behind this marshy lake area, which is what Josephus described, right? The marshes. I know the print is really small. Let me see if I can zoom in for you. It's still really small. Let's see. I'll read it. It says deposits younger than the Bonneville Lake cycle. Young Lacentrine, I'm sorry, I'm butchering words. Sorry, that's what I do. That's my thing. I butcher words. And marsh deposits, clay, silt, and sand, deposited in Mona Reservoir and marshes associated with low water levels in the reservoir. Predominantly reworked material from unit pounds, blah, 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 locally organic rich, mapped at and below elevation of reservoir. And then down here it says, I can't say that word, lacustrine, I don't know, marsh and alluvial deposits undivided. Undivided clay, silt, and sand, an area of mixed lacustrine, I can't say that, marsh and alluvial environments, mapped in the center of Wab Valley, south of Mona Reservoir. So in summary, this article and study and other ones I have read, they're so technical. It takes me forever to start to wrap my mind around them. If I'm understanding correctly, these studies are showing that there is the soil in this valley where Mona Reservoir is today is showing that it is soil from a marshy lake that used to be there. In summary, that's what it's saying, right? So not only does Josephus describe the Sea of Galilee and give the dimensions of it exactly as it is. I did a video about this previously. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. He describes exactly what we see here, as well as the horseshoe-shaped valley that Jerusalem is in. Not only does he describe that, but he gives the exact distance and dimensions of what is also up here in the upper Jordan region. Mind blown again! It's so cool. I literally was just reading through Josephus and this jumped out at me, and I was like, I know what he's talking about. I know exactly where that is. And because I spend too much time geeking out on the maps, right? And it fits. So anyway, I wanted to share that. I thought it was super neat. Stay tuned. I have another video coming up on the location of Engedi, which Josephus also gives us detailed information about that matches what the Bible says exactly in Utah.